I think the greatest piece of advice I ever got was from my wife. My son was about 2 years old. I was in my study. I was behind on a contract with a book I had to have finished. And I was working on the last chapter, and I was focused, writing away. And my 2-year-old son walked into my room. And I said, "Son, I'm busy. I can't talk right now. Later at dinner." What does a 2-year-old kid do? Turns around and he walks out. Found out later he wanted to come in and see if I'd go out and play ball with him. So I went on my study. In about 2 minutes, that kid's mother, my wife, came through that door. And I said, "Not now, honey, I'm busy." Oh, that was not the time to say that, trust me. She walked over and she put her hands down on my paper and she looked me in the eye and she said, "You're always busy. You're a 5-ring circus. You're always, honey, going to have a book to finish, a chapter to write, a contract to meet, a talk to prepare, somewhere to go to give it. But honey, you won't always have a 2-year-old son who wants to sit on his daddy's lap and ask him a question." And she turned around and walked down the room. I went, whoa. Well, that night at dinner, after we'd eaten, Dottie excused the kids. She said, "Honey, we need to talk." Ugh, it's time to go back to Promise Keepers. Come on. When a wife says, "Honey, we need to talk," it's not good. Come on, it isn't. And she excused the kids. I would have kept the kids there as my protection because my wife would never confront me in front of the kids. So come on, kids, let's have dessert together. Well, she said, "Honey, I want you to listen to me." I thought, oh boy, here it comes. I mean, the wisdom that she shared. I'm glad I listened to her. She said, "Honey, if you spend time with your children now, they'll spend time with you later. Do you know, sweetie, if you will talk to your children now, they will listen to you later. If you show an interest in them now, they'll show an interest in you later. If you love them now, oh, honey, they'll love you later. They were like 4 and 2. If you kiss them now, oh, honey, they'll kiss you later. You hug them now, they'll hug you later." The last thing Dottie said to me, "If you take their little tiny hands and put your big fingers between them now, they'll put their big fingers between yours later." Oh, I got to tell you, that's the greatest wisdom anyone ever shared with me about anything. I'm so glad I listened to my wife most of the time. In about 2, at most 3 minutes, I found myself on my knees. And I made a pledge to God that I've tried to keep to this day. I've broken it many times, but I've tried my best to keep to this day when I said, "God, from this moment on, I will never, ever, ever, ever put my family before my ministry. Ever." Because I believe now that the biggest mistake so many make, they put their family, their children, their wife before their ministry. Because God taught me this lesson when I was on my knees, that my family, Kelly, Sean, Katie, and Heather, and my wife, Dottie, they do not come before my ministry. They are my first ministry. Somebody said, "Oh, come on, Josh, that was huge." It started with totally changing my thinking, where I'd come home from maybe 20 hard days of speaking, teaching, winning kids to Christ, and I'd come home and just want to watch TV, not annoy. And I say, no, when I walk through that door, my first ministry begins. They don't come before my ministry. They are my first ministry. And it totally transformed the way that I started to relate to my children and my wife. And now I am bearing fruit of it. My kids want to be with me all the time. They want to travel. My son wants to do conferences, speak together. In fact, the other day he said, "Dad, can we tour together?" And he's become one of the top, I think, 4 or 5 speakers in America. He's a much better speaker than I am. He's a much better writer than I am. And I am now experiencing what I did with my children when they were young. I'm experiencing it now. And a good example of that My son was academic All-American University in basketball. Shortest kid in his class, shortest kid in the team. And I walked into the gym. It was jammed. The women's game going on. Everyone knew I was. So here were all the eyes watching me walk across. I got to the corner, and all of a sudden Sean, way down the other end of the court, up in the bleachers, realized it was me. So he jumps up and he runs down the bleachers, making all kinds of noise, kind of boom, boom, boom. And here it was. I was at one end of the court, and he was at the other end in front of thousands of kids. We started walking towards each other. Everybody, they'd look at me, look at him, 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 look at me, look at him. And it was like there was tension. The whole crowd was just hanging there. Well, we walked right to each other. We threw our arms around each other and gave each other a big hug and a kiss. The crowd exploded. Yay, way to go, McDowell! And nobody had scored except me. Well, later, I had to drive me to the LA airport to fly out that night. And I was sitting there, it was about midnight. I thought, boy, that was unusual. And I started analyzing. Why did the crowd respond that way and all? Well, first of all, I realized this. The wisdom of what my wife told me said, if you'll spend time with them now, they'll spend time with you later. And I concluded if I hadn't met my son at half court when he was 2, he wouldn't have met me at half court when he was 20. I really believe that. But why did all those students break out applauding? I conclude for this reason. Every one of them would like to have met their father at half court and gotten a hug and a kiss. And that's always stuck in my mind. Time with your kids now will be time with you later. What a lesson to learn. They do not come before my ministry. They are my first ministry.